Is it March 18th already? Scott 60 gang, good morning to those who woke up with me today, March 18, 2025. Happy birthday to all my 60 gang members and followers whose birthdays today. And my condolences go out to those who do not wake up today. This your boy Doug 60 gang, and I'm outside only for one reason. I got a phone call. I picked up the phone. It said, "Hello, who is this?" It said, "It's me, your favorite friend, Money." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." I said, "What you need, Money?" It said, "I need you to come pick me up." I said, "I'll be right there." So Money is in Toccoa, Georgia, and we're on our way to go get him, pick him up. Let's roll. Let's roll, baby.
It's March 18th. It's my brother's birthday. Happy birthday.
Over. Israel launching airstrikes into Gaza overnight after hostage negotiations fell flat. We have all the breaking developments from the Middle East.
Plus, the judge wants to know why plane loads of illegal immigrants with alleged gang ties were deported to El Salvador at their mega prison, despite being told to turn the plane around.
What do you say to those who claim you're using a 200-year-old law to circumvent due process?
An old law? Not as old as the Constitution. We still pay attention to that, don't we?
He's got a point. And the day has finally come. The two astronauts who have been stranded in space for 9 months are heading back to Earth. I was down in Florida. I saw the rescue mission take off. It was awesome.
Fox and Friends starts right now. And we start with Fox News Alert. Israel is signaling plans for a broader offensive in Gaza after launching a wave of airstrikes on Hamas targets overnight.
All this marks an end to the fragile ceasefire as the terror group refuses to release whatever remaining hostages are still alive, including American Eden Alexander. They say 59 remain in captivity. Half are thought to be alive. Alex Hogan is live in London with the latest. Alex.
Good morning. So this is a dramatic change from the lull that we had seen in recent weeks of waiting for negotiators to broker a second stage of this ceasefire. Israel overnight carried out a series of strikes taking place last night into this morning in Gaza. It is the heaviest wave of attacks since the ceasefire took effect in January. The IDF says it hit dozens of targets, going after Hamas targets like officials, leadership, and infrastructure. Israel's defense minister stating, quote, "This decision comes after Hamas repeatedly refused to release our hostages and rejected all proposals presented by U.S. President's envoy, Steve Witkoff, as well as the mediators." The renewed fighting comes during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Footage today shows the widespread damage of people packed into hospitals and others searching through the rubble. The first stage of the ceasefire ended 2 weeks ago, and negotiators have yet to hammer out a second stage, which would free the remaining 59 hostages. Now, one senior Hamas official is warning that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's decision to resume military operations is a death sentence for the remaining hostages. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt spoke on Fox News last night.
The Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iranian-backed terror proxies, and Iran themselves should take President Trump very seriously when he says he is not afraid to stand for law-abiding people. He is not afraid to stand up for the United States of America and our friend and our ally, Israel.
Israel says that it will continue to apply more pressure as long as it is needed. We have seen Israel start to order these evacuation orders this morning. We're starting to see the footage now of Palestinians moving to different parts of the Strip. There's also a new statement from Hamas. They say that these conversations are ongoing with negotiators and they are eager to reach a ceasefire. Guys, back to you.
Alex, the main difference now is the first time there's been an offensive since President Trump took over. You always heard the Biden administration say, be measured, don't go here, we're holding back these weapons. That is not the Trump mantra. So what do you think that changes to what changes does that instill in the battlefield?
Well, exactly. We have not seen Hamas as of yet have any kind of military response to this. When I was in Israel just last week, we did see a couple of Israeli strikes targeting what they say were Hamas officials and others in Hamas trying to regroup and rearm, and they took out some of those specific targets. But this is a completely different level of offense this morning, a major escalation in terms of the military might that they have been able to use, but largely has been paused during the ceasefire. And with the statements that we just heard Caroline Levitt make on Fox about how the White House is going to stand with Israel. They are going to stand against Iran and any of these Iranian proxies. That's clearly sending a message and potentially could be why we're hearing Hamas even this morning after all of these strikes saying that they're willing to continue these talks toward a hopeful ceasefire.
Yeah. Alex, we got some reporting last week that the last living American hostage, that there was going to be a return. And what happened with the deal regarding that? Did it just fall apart?
Well, there is still that deal on the table. So this is a second proposal that the U.S. and Israel are hoping that Hamas will agree to, that essentially would release half of the hostages in one batch and then another half later. Hamas has said that it wanted to stick with the original proposal that was brokered back in January, but there is a lot of concern, even in Israel. That's something we should note this morning among the families of the hostages who are worried that resuming military operations could inevitably cause more deaths of the hostages. The Hostage Family Forum, which is the group of those hostage families, they released a statement just a few minutes ago saying military pressure could further endanger the lives and complicate efforts to bring them home safely. So, of course, that's the opinion of some of the families of the hostages. The government is arguing they need to apply more pressure in order for Hamas to actually strike a deal.
All right. Alex Hogan reporting for our European newsroom. Thank you very much. Ultimately, it is unclear whether or not the strikes are trying to force Hamas to compromise, and get them back to the table, or is it to start a new phase of the war, essentially to drive Hamas completely out of Gaza, although they've done a pretty good job of that so far.
When it comes to the American hostages, it's Edon Alexander we were talking about. He's from New Jersey and right over the bridge, so it's very close to New York. Yeah. And the defense minister there in Israel says if Hamas does not release all of the hostages, the gates of hell will open in Gaza. And Hamas's murderers and rapists will meet the IDF with forces they have never known before. We will not stop fighting until all the hostages return home and all the war's goals are achieved. There are 4 Americans that are believed to be murdered.
And look, the only thing I'm saying is Trump is not going to say, no, don't go into Rafah. He's not going to say, don't drop the 2,000-pound bombs. He is not going to say, pull back. He's going to say, I trust you, your region, your guys. Go do it. And this is the first time we've seen a full-scale action. Now, the question is, Iran has promised a retaliation to Israel. They kind of dropped that after the election, but we're still waiting. So how much damage does Hamas take before Iran or the Houthi rebels send a missile all the way into the
Can I add something to that, Brian? You know why Trump is not going to say stop? Because he's given Hamas every opportunity for peace. He said from the very beginning, let's come to the negotiating table. Let's have a greater Palestinian Authority. Let's relocate some of the people. Let's rebuild in that area. He's given them the option to choose a different path, and they're refusing. And I said this from the very beginning when the negotiation was going on to release the hostages, that Hamas was never going to stick to the deal. As we got to phase 2, they weren't going to do it. And I feel for the families because we know that this does put their lives, the hostages' lives, at risk. But at some point, something has to give.
Because you know what? The people of the Palestinian people still have the mob running.
That's right.
So there's
they want them to
damage the mob, but the mob still have the guns. And you see every hostage release, you see they harass the hostages as they're coming out. So they still have strength. Right. So the Palestinian people might want peace, but if they speak up, their families get wiped out. They get killed. So until Israel could actually do them a favor and take out the mob in their neighborhood, we're never going to know what the Palestinian people truly want.
Well, and as long as Hamas is in power, they are going to keep some hostages, because as soon as the last hostage is out the door, they lose all their leverage. So they will always hang on to one.
You're dealing with terrorists, but this is biblical. This goes so far back in the Bible, as you know, Lawrence, and all of y'all know. Pharaoh, Moses was saying, let my people go, and he refused to do that, and that's exactly what's happening here. But God will always protect Israel. At least if you're a Christian, you believe that. That's what it's promised in the Bible.
All right, meanwhile, to another Fox News alert today, President Trump is set to speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin over the telephone as the White House continues to push for a lasting peace in Ukraine.
Madeline Rivera joins us now from Washington with the details. Good morning, Maddie.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, there will likely be concessions as the U.S. tries to broker a deal to end this war. The president has already talked about dividing certain assets like land and power plants. Remember, Europe's largest nuclear power plant is in Ukraine, and it was seized by Russia in March 2022. The UN has repeatedly voiced concerns about a nuclear accident. A State Department spokesperson says the ball is now in Russia's court after Ukraine accepted a U.S.-backed 30-day ceasefire. Last week, Russian President Vladimir Putin said he had questions about the nature of a truce. Russia remains adamant any deal must ensure Ukraine will never be a part of NATO. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met with Putin and said a lot of work has been done to narrow the gaps between Ukraine and Russia. Here's President Trump talking about his call with Putin today.
I'm speaking with President Putin of Russia to save some soldiers who are in deep trouble. They're captured. Essentially, they're surrounded by Russian soldiers, but it's a bad situation in Russia, and it's a bad situation in Ukraine. What's happening in Ukraine is not good, but we're going to see if we can work a peace agreement, a ceasefire and peace, and I think we'll be able to do it.
Witkoff says he does believe Putin accepts the philosophy of President Trump that he wants an end to the war. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is skeptical, saying in a post on X, Putin is continuing to drag out this war. Lauren, Steve, Ainsley, and Brian.
All right, thank you, Maddie. He was talking about those Ukrainian soldiers that are...
Iranian drone attack, which played a huge role, and they got these dual-use weapons from China who are pretending as if they're not playing a role, but we all know they're playing a huge role.
I'm learning that Putin is pushing for this in-person meeting with the president, and the administration, along with the president as well as the national security advisor, has been very clear. We're not going to meet in person as it relates to the president of the United States unless there's something to sign. And I think the pressure is on one person right now. It's on Putin. Zelensky finally came to the table, signed the agreement. Their part is done. Now it's all on Putin. And I think if he doesn't go for the deal at some point in the near future, within the next couple of weeks or so, you're going to see maximum pressure on the Kremlin.
Sure, absolutely. And keep in mind, Putin wants what Putin wants. Donald Trump wants this war over. He has made that very clear. So this, essentially this phone call they had today has echoes of Yalta back in 1945 when they tried to figure out who got what after the Second World War. Essentially, that's what they're going to decide today is Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are going to say, okay, this is what you get and this is what Ukraine gets. And the question is, how much stuff is Russia ultimately going to get? One of the worries from Zelensky and his team is that Trump will make a deal to give him the port city of Odessa. And that is a big problem for them. And there's also the question about whether or not Europe is going to go along with anything they decide, because they want to be in on the deal.
They're going to have to compromise.
But here's the thing. I think Putin is getting ahead of himself. 30 days, and then we could do everything you mentioned.
Yeah.
So you stop fighting for 30 days, and then you negotiate. And if negotiations fall apart like they did in Gaza, they go back to fighting. That's always an option. But Steve, to give them Odessa would be crazy because they haven't earned it.
Oh, I completely agree.
I know, because they haven't even won in the battlefield. They've been effectively pushed back. What I think the leverage point is they got minimum, the Russians have $300 billion in frozen assets right now, and the French are pushing to use the interest to spend it to buy weapons to give it more to the Ukraine. So if you tell Putin that's your leverage, you have $300 billion, I think we're going to have a 30-day ceasefire. And you can't take land you haven't even earned yet in the battlefield, let alone the fact that you illegally invaded a country.
Right, and back here at home, there were 261 illegal MS-13 gang members, some MS-13 ringleaders. Donald Trump is calling them terrorists because many of them don't have America's best interest in mind, and they're here illegally. So he puts them on planes, he sends them to El Salvador, and in the middle of those flights, a judge says, no, you have to stop, you have to turn these planes around. And then Donald Trump says, well, they're not in American airspace anymore, so it's too little too late. The judge is now giving Donald Trump until noon today to file briefings and to answer these 4 questions. Do you want to read these questions?
Yeah, so he has a few questions. He says that he wants to know how many planes departed the United States at any point on Saturday carrying any people being deported solely on the basis of this proclamation. He also wants to know how many people in the category were on each plane, what foreign country or countries did these planes land in, and what time did these planes take off from the United States and from where?
Well, and here's the thing. This all came to a head on Saturday night, and it is because late Saturday, just before the flights took off, apparently the ACLU and another group sued the federal government, and they went before the judge and they started talking about what to do, and the judge issued an order from the bench. It was an oral order. He said, okay, turn those planes around. And now the White House says, well, it wasn't until it didn't take effect essentially until the written order came out. So right now it's all about the timeline and stuff. Ultimately, what the judge wants to know is whether or not that original lawsuit where the ACLU filed against the federal government to keep 5 Venezuelans off the plane, he wants to know whether or not those people went on the plane. From what I've read, it sounds like they did not make the trip, and so that should satisfy him. And ultimately, the federal government has broad latitude when it comes to enforcing immigration and stuff like this. So it'll be interesting to see what happens today.
And remember who this judge is. He's an Obama-appointed judge who actually gave Kleinsmith, he was the guy who made up the whole FISA warrant, reversed what it actually meant, and allowed Carter Page to be surveilled illegally. He basically got a slap on the wrist. Remember also, this judge has got a wife who's a radical leftist, Hillary Clinton, a huge Hillary Clinton supporter. He seems to be an activist judge, and he seems to be really getting ahead of himself on how much weight he actually carries in terms of foreign policy with America. Here's our press secretary yesterday.
These are heinous monsters, rapists, murderers, kidnappers, sexual assaulters, predators who have no right to be in this country, and they must be held accountable.
Is the administration prepared to give the court what it wants in terms of the time of the flights that departed, that went to El Salvador, and some of those details that the judge is asking for in trying to determine the timings? The verbal order did say turn around the flights if there's an issue. So is the administration prepared to provide that information?
I'm prepared to provide it right now. All of the planes that were subject to the written order, the judge's written order, took off before the order was entered in the courtroom on Saturday, and the administration will, of course, be happily answering all of those questions that the judge poses in court later today.
I just don't think you're going to get much sympathy from the American people when they see a bunch of criminals on a plane. First of all, everyone agrees that all of these people that were taken to prison are legally in the country. All right, that's not under dispute. When it comes to the briefing that Steve was alluding to, we're talking about 5 people on separate planes. Right. All right, so it's one thing to object to a few people on the plane, but to say that all of the planes full of MS-13, Trinidad that have been...
Why would you be upset about that?
Why would you say bring those people back to the country? It just doesn't make any sense.
So let's put it this way. Everybody knows the injunctions filed against this administration is setting all times of records.
Yeah.
They're doing everything possible to stop their total Trump agenda in a way in which is just stunning today. You talk about 64 injunctions out of the 127 nationwide injunctions. All this since 1963 has been 127. There's been 64 just against Trump. He's only been in office for 2 months. So this is the way they're trying to stop him. So here's my question. We got to get more of these guys out. We cut a great deal with El Salvador. They know how to lock and hold brutal prisoners, right? We saw that whole system. $6 million, you can't go wrong. So this is a deal that Marco Rubio helped cut. It's awesome. So here's the thing. Would it help if you just give the mini bios and the transgressions of these terrorists, 161 of them, 261 last week? Is that what the judge wants? So if you let the judge know who they are, list the rap sheets, now they go, because we have to continue this. I'm not worried. These guys are gone for good. I want more flights.
This was a great deal. We have terrorists out of our country, people who are rapists, who have done heinous crimes. They're in another country now. There are 261 of them. We paid them $6 million approximately, according to Caroline Levitt. It would cost so much more than if we had to house them here. And the judge, now people are calling for his impeachment. Congressman Brandon Gill on X said, I'll be filing articles of impeachment against activist Judge James Borsberg this week. And Elon Musk wrote back, necessary.
Well, in fact, the Department of Justice a couple of days ago wrote a letter asking the Court of Appeals above him to replace him because of the way he has handled this case. Ultimately, there are people who say, look, those people, sure, they're terrorists, but they deserve due process. That's their argument. And so that is why the president on Friday night signed that executive order invoking the alien.
President, all his appointments, they're excellent when it comes to media. They answer the questions. They're not afraid of the media, and they have the answers to this. I mean, when you think about it, Ainsley, it's common sense. We don't say anything about the Constitution being too old.
These judges are saying, is it an act of war? Are we in the middle of a war? Who cares? These guys are the worst of the worst. Get them out of our country. Right. Most Americans would agree with that.
Right, and you know what? Maybe we have to do a technical declare of war against terrorists.
War against drugs, war against fentanyl.
That's ISIS. If there was ISIS, you wouldn't be complaining. Al Qaeda, you wouldn't be complaining. By the way, Pete Hegseth, again, being able to explain himself. Secretary Austin was unable to do that for 4 years. Pete was great on Sunday. You have Tom Homan sitting there taking questions. Just wait till Dan Bongino goes down.
I know.
Dan Bongino's a
sworn in yesterday.
Sworn in yesterday.
Right. And you know who's a great communicator?
Carly Shimkus.
Carly Shimkus.
Good answer.
Guys, I feel the same way about you four.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome.
You're looking at me, so I really take that.
And you?
Where's she at?
Stay over here.
It does. It does.
Get her out my house.
I stay here.
I have a little kid and she's running around with a whole fucking butcher knife. Get her out my house.
It ain't no stop. You don't know what the fuck I go through with them?
Yeah, get her out my house. Listen. What actually started on? She's mad because she wanted to go to an interview and she can't find her stuff. Then she started punching on my door because she's talking about, oh, I can't find my shoes. She started trying to fight her. I pushed her to the ground. Why? Because she touched her. That's your little sister. Why is she? Right. She was punching on her. I pushed her to the ground. Stopped her from fighting. How old is she? She's 19. She can go. She can go.
Where's the knife at that she was holding?
It's in the house. It's a butcher knife about this long.
Okay. Do you know where she put it down?
In the living room.
Okay.
Did she have a knife?
Hey, knife supposedly in the living room.
Yeah, get her out of my house, bro. We have a whole little kid and her son here. She just dumb and stupid. Yeah, she gotta go. I'll get where she goes. She can't be here.
I hear you on that.
She don't stay here. No, she don't.
She does live here.
No, she don't. No, she do not. She don't stay here. She's staying at her cousin's house. Her stuff is here. She came get her stuff and got dressed. She just got dropped off. Not even been an hour. She got mad because she couldn't find her shoes.
Okay, so she just stopped by to get stuff for this interview?
Yeah, she gotta go.
How long has she been staying at her cousin's?
She's been over there since she's been down there. Because she came over here to get her stuff, get dressed, and supposed to be going to an interview. But she came got mad because she couldn't find her shoes.
Okay, It is kind of an important point. So how long has she been with the cousins?
She been over there since she's been back down.
She's been there since.
Well, I don't know.
Like a month. She's been like a month there.
Like a month? Okay. And before that, she was staying where?
At her cousin's house. Where she was, or she was either at her cousin's house or over there on the beach side where her mom.
So it's from one cousin to another cousin's, not from here to the cousin?
No.
Okay. Okay. Stay right here. I'll be right back. So what actually happened? Was your sister hitting on you? Okay. So what why did she hit on you? Were you in her, why did she blame you for that? Were you in the way, or were you trying to help, or what happened?
Because her son like throwing her stuff. When he plays around, he picks up shoes and throws stuff. And he don't know how to stop playing. So he stole stuff. She wasn't counting everybody else accountable for him throwing her stuff.
Wait,
like her son, the young.
Her son. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's her son. Okay. She got mad because she couldn't find her stuff because she was trying to go to an interview. And like I told her, don't touch it there. Huh?
Her son's in there.
Yeah, he's the baby. He's the one. He's upstairs with my son.
Okay. So she's upset her son is throwing around stuff, and then she hits on.
She tries to attack her little sister. I pushed her to the ground. I said, no, keep your hands off her. That's not your child.
Yeah.
So then she got up. My daughter stepped in front of us. So she got up. She went in the kitchen and grabbed this big butcher knife.
Where was she hitting on her and you pushed her around?
She smacked her in the.
Started trying to punch her in the living room. In the living room, right there where my couch at.
He knows.
But then she came
Why
in
that
there.
business?
Then she came in there and started knocking over. You don't own in here. Now, that's why I called the police. Get out of my house. I'd be dead wrong. I'm like, beat the guy.
Okay. All right, I'll be right back. I hear you.
Since the other officer just got here, you and your sister got an argument over your missing shoes. You pushed her. She got up. She pushed you back, and you pushed her again. And then your dad came in and got between you, pushed you down, pushed you. You got up, and then you hit your head. Okay.
Do you have any injuries? Do you have any injuries?
Yes, you can. Go down. I ain't got
Yeah, why don't you just stay out here? Just so it's not
she
like.
don't have no shoes on. I know you can see that, right?
Oh, what? Oh.
Go in the house, go upstairs.
Okay.
She needs. I swear.
Get your on.
Where's the knife come in play?
He just said that. He was in here fighting. I didn't have no knife. I was in here yelling. And yeah, once I said I beat that, gonna say, oh yeah, I got something for you, then that's when he called y'all. Cause I'm not scared. I don't care. So we go through this all the time. My always coming up missing. If none of my come up missing, then it wouldn't even be a problem.
Are you the sister?
Not the one that was getting mad.
Okay.
Man, where's the knife come involved here?
She grabbed it when I pushed her on the ground because she was punching on my daughter. She grabbed the knife. Before she seen y'all pull it up, she went out to get the knife. Y'all can't find it in that living room. It's a butcher knife this long.
So what is she saying happened?
They got into an argument over the
shoes.
She pushed the sister. The sister got up, pushed her back. Then she pushed the sister again, and then Dad pushed her, so she got up and hit Dad.
Apparently she hid the knife somewhere in here.
I didn't hide it.
He's adamant that she had a butcher knife. Why would he say you had a knife, though?
Because he called the
Can you stand up real quick just so I can make sure there's no knife back there?
How would I hide a knife in it?
Stand up. Were you in here when this happened?
Well, I wasn't in there.
Did you see a knife involved in this?
Yeah.
Did you? How did someone?
Well, oh my God, my shoes.
Just pushing?
Dad says.
But does pushing constitute physical harm?
She pushes her sister pushes him back. Dad then pushed her. And she got up, she grabs Dad. So they matches both sides.
How old is she?
Dad is saying she's 19. Dad saying she doesn't stay here. She lives at her cousin. She just
Does Dad want to pursue charges?
Answer 1950.
Hey, I'm gonna have you. No. We're gonna argue back and forth with each other.
Sure enough.
13
You said drugs so you can pay your rent. Let's talk about it.
I'm not gonna argue back and forth. Walk over here for me. Walk over here for me.
I definitely do. I get mail here. What are you talking about? Wait, what are you talking?
She wants her shoes.
What?
Her shoes? Yeah.
Do you want to pursue charges? Yes, get her out my house, bro. Are you going to come down and sign? Yes, I don't care what we gotta do. Get her out my house. I have no kids. We're not going for that.
Okay.
At 1. So I come home. I'm trying to find my shoes and stuff. I can't find none of my shoes. Like both of my shoes came up like they gone. So then I'm telling them like, y'all need to get up so I can find my shoes. Like I gotta go. So Naya, you know how Naya is that smart. And I was like, I said, you don't find my shoes, I'm gonna smack the fuck out of you. Like you over here, you.
That's it. That's it.
Huh? My son is in the house upstairs with his uncle. So then we are getting into it and stuff. So he called the police. For what?
Because you're under arrest.
For what? What am I under arrest for?
Don't do that.
Oh my God.
Don't do that.
Okay, where am I under arrest?
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence? How is that domestic violence when he hit me? How is it domestic violence when he hit me?
We put her in 17 or something.
Okay, but how is it domestic violence when he hit me and I hit him back? Like, you're taking
Alright, I'm gonna say that real quick.
search me for what? I don't have nothing on me.
Okay, I'm just making sure. If you don't have anything
Okay, but how is it domestic violence when he hit me?
Alright, you don't have anything on this composer, right? You're right. Alright.
What'd the knife look like?
It's kind of a long knife. It's like this long. It's a black handle.
Black handle.
Black handle. Okay. She might have hid this knife back here. There's a match in that description right here.
So how old's sister?
13.
So she pushed 13-year-old.
Yeah, she pushed the 13-year-old because they got into an argument over the missing shoes. 13-year-old gets up, pushes her back.
Okay.
So she pushes her again. She pushes the 13-year-old again. That's when Dad gets involved to get in between them. She tries her to get away and she just rails off and that's that. That's what she told.
Walking around with the knife, long black handle.
There's the left side of the sink. There's one match in that description.
And then she's saying that she's going to smack the 13-year-old in the mouth over the shoes.
Okay, but how? This is the second time that he done did this and I'm in jail.
Sit down in the seat. Sit down in the seat. Go in the car. Don't make this more difficult than it has to be.
It's always something.
Sit back for me. This is the last time I'm going to tell you. Alright, go in the car. Sit up in the seat. You're making it way more difficult than it has to be. Nope. Quick, go.
Right, that's my director.
Here. Hey, actually, hey, pull her out. Hey, pull her out. Get the. I got a rat. Come on out. Come on.
Wait, the handcuffs! Get off of my leg!
Sit down.
Yep. Stop kicking me. Get my foot.
Wait, the handcuffs is on my hand, tight!
Give me the ankle
Oh my God! What the f*** is happening? Get the f*** off of me! Like this is happening! Oh my God, get off because the handcuffs is tight!
Use your words and say that.
They're tight! Oh my God, they're tight! It hurts!
Take a breath. Relax.
This is irritating. Like you always call the police. Okay, so y'all loosen it. This is tight.
Kind of the point of it.
I'm talking about the
Sorry, roll that way.
Oh my God.
Just caught a felony for nothing.
That's not no felony.
Assault on the peace officer is a felony.
How is that assault? I did not touch her. What are you talking about? Damn. I don't need that. Oh my God. Yeah, loosen this.
That's that baby method I can
Oh my
Look, 1 and 1. Those are loose enough.
It don't even feel like it.
Well, they're not made to be comfortable.
You gotta stop twisting your wrist. Okay?
Put your hands together like you're praying. Put your palms together. There you go.
Okay, but can y'all take the helmet off? Because I don't need that.
It has to be on with the rest.
Keep your hands turned like that.
Oh my God. But how is that a felony when I did not touch her?
Why didn't you get in the car when I told you to?
Because y'all don't understand.
Could have been avoided.
Every time you do something to me, you want to call the police.
You can't put your hands on your sibling. She's allowed to. Stop
I didn't put my hands on her. I shoved her.
How are you gonna smack the
Okay, but that's what people do when they're mad.
Yeah, it's called deviation. Probably comes this way.
Yeah, and then back down.
I'm back down.
So I can see a judge tomorrow.
Not for DB? Oh, tomorrow, yeah. Right, thanks. Possibly.
All y'all do, I can get up. All you gotta do is stand me up. Just stand me up from the back.
One of them. Yeah. Or 6.
Just stand me up from my arms. I can stand up.
No, not unless you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you're not coming out of this.
I know I'm not. But I'm saying I can stand up.
Hold on.
Wait, so just stand me
You
up.
guys have to come back here and support the back. The others have to be on the side.
Wait, Chuck.
Alright, lift. She's caught on.
Can you move my hair out my face?
With that helmet, it's going to keep going right back.
What? Her hair needs to?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Let's get her strapped in.
You know, play the jail. We'll be in our video this one. Okay, we'll have jury to do so.
So we go through the road?
Just somehow so that it sort of keeps her secure.
So what's my charges?
Right now, I believe domestic violence and domestic menacing.
What's that?
What?
What is that?
Domestic violence?
No, I know what that is.
Domestic violence menacing is when you threaten to cause harm to people, which is also illegal.
1322.
Okay, wait, what's going on?
Going to jail.
I can sign. Is it about my son? Is it about my son?
Yes.
Okay, now what's going on? What's going on? What's going on about my son?
That's what we're discussing.
Do I need to sign over my rights to my dad? Well, sign him over to my dad?
This officer's going to speak with you about that in a moment, okay?
Talking about medicine, domestic violence, so it's in the report aspect of it.
Excuse me, sir. Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you let me know what's going on with my son?
So are you okay with us giving custody over to the male here of your son while you're in jail for the night? So we don't have to take him with child here? Okay, so he's good to stay here then? Okay, alright, thank you. Okay. So these are the questions that you have to ask them. So I always print it off because I'll never remember it. So we have to go ask him these box questions, yes or no.
Excuse me.
Oh, now she polite. Excuse me. So polite now.
Oh my God. So I got a question.
What's up?
Is domestic violence a felony?
What's that?
Domestic violence is a felony?
Can you put me on 22 small real quick so I can take my video, please?
Have you ever been convicted of domestic violence in the past?
No.
No. It's not a felony right away. There's certain things that will bump it to a felony.
Like what?
Like prior convictions.
Assaulting the police officer.
How's it going? I just gotta talk to Dad one more. How's it going? Hey, where did she punch you somewhere? She never punched you? What did she?
She hit her.
She hit her?
She hit my youngest.
By pushing? Or?
I pushed her when she was punching on her sister.
So she was punching on her?
She said she punched you and then you hit her.
No, she tried. I didn't.
Okay.
She was hitting her. I was in here. She walked up and said, "Stop smacking you." Then she smacked her, then she tried to punch on her.
Okay.
When I looked up, I stopped looking at my phone, I looked up. When I see that she was punching on her, I pushed her to the ground.
And then they started fighting. I started fighting.
Did she say anything with the knife or anything? Or she
No, she came in here and grabbed the knife. And was right before y'all came, she was like, "Oh, I stand." I said, "Well, come outside. I don't want no blood in my house."
Hey, Jada. I just want to have you read this document real quick. So this is the transfer of custody. So you're agreeing to transfer custody of your son, Caden, to your father, Lewis, temporarily?
Okay, I got a question.
Hang on. So if you were not in handcuffs, would you be agreeing to sign this form? You want to take a moment to read it?
Is that to like give over my child?
Just temporarily.
Oh, okay.
While you're in county.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Arrested, consent given.
Arrested, verbal consent given on BWC.
What's the
I'll be working on this file, but you can pull me if you need me.
That you disrupted our investigation. You made it last longer. You hindered it by doing your little fiasco of not wanting to sit into the cruiser.
Oh.
It's a misdemeanor.
So you're saying when you receive 50 mile an hour?
No, even running home.
No, I know. But I'm saying you're limited.
I just saw it. It's all over the face. Yeah, the media. Yes, you did. You keyed a Tesla in a parking lot somewhere around here. What do you got to say about that? I didn't do that.
Of this idiot. And there's a bunch of idiots out there. And you shall know them by their fruits, right? They keying Teslas, knowing that the Tesla got a camera on it. I mean, I don't know if they smart enough to know that. But the Tesla got like a surveillance camera system on it that's overriding itself probably 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. but it probably has a playback of like 24 hours or something. Or if there's some threat level to the car, it'll detect it and begin to record. But I saw a person on the freeway today in a Cybertruck. They got this new thing, and you know what they're doing? Nick, I should sell this on another website. I'll make millions of dollars. Selling anti-Elon Musk apparel to people that are stupid. They got these little things that says anti-Elon Musk or anti-Elon Tesla owner, something like that. Anti-Elon Tesla or something. It's gotta be the stupidest thing on planet Earth. I saw a guy today in a Cybertruck with the thing on the door panel. Like, bro, do you not understand that you making him money and you advertising a Tesla Cybertruck while saying you're anti-Elon? You can't get stupider than these people. And they never had a problem with Elon before. They've never done anything to Elon. Nobody's ever targeted, not that I know of in a coordinated way, Tesla headquarters, Tesla employees. But all of a sudden, because he somehow is associated with Trump, they're attacking innocent people that have nothing to do with what Elon Musk is doing or not doing. And here's an example, allegedly. If you look at the film, this looked like the same guy. Y'all tell me in the comment section, is this the same guy or he have a twin keying a Tesla? Roll the clip.
Did you just key a Tesla the other day?
What?
You're on video. Yeah. This is the guy. You just keyed a Tesla. You got a video online. I just saw it. It's all over the face. The media. Yes, you did. You keyed a Tesla in a parking lot somewhere around here. What do you got to say about that?
I didn't do that.
Internet is undefeated. Does it look like this guy? He got the same jacket on. Walk the same. Bald in the same. That's the same car. In the same car. Look at it.
Well, you're on video. I plainly saw you doing it. You pulled up right next to it and then you keyed it. You want to bet?
Whatever.
Okay. Well, they got your license plate. I'm surprised you haven't been contacted by the police yet. I mean, what do you have to say? I mean, I saw you do it. I'm just curious. I mean, just because of Elon, you're wearing a USA T-shirt, driving a Korean car. Why would you key an American car? The guy's probably a Democrat that owns it. I think it's a woman. I mean, I'm just curious why you did that. You just don't have anything to say about that? Neither one of you guys do? Okay. You're handicapped too. I mean, this is just kind of ridiculous. Well, good luck to you, sir. Hope you learned a lesson. Chase Bank.
These people are so, I'm glad he's embarrassed. He should be. I hope he go to jail because that's vandalism, criminal damage. He should go to jail. And I don't know, man. I think that we should identify the motives here. Is this a coordinated effort to commit an aggravated crime by people damaging Tesla because of making a political statement? Now, it'll be a stretch, right? You got to be Stretch Armstrong to charge somebody with some federal charge. But I almost feel like people should get charged with federal charges for that. I think in a coordinated effort, these people are acting on behalf of a movement to intimidate people with violence to push their political agenda. That's what they're doing. It's a stretch, but I wish that we could get to the point, because there is no amount of frustration that will cause me to get out of my car and key somebody's car because I don't like the person who made this car. I mean, the person owned the company. Elon Musk haven't touched the car. He ain't even been at the factory when that car was being made. Elon Musk don't know nothing about that car that's sitting out there. Some person in America, probably a leftist, is a part of the assembly process of making a Tesla. And the way you think or support the people who are out here making these cars, making a living, American company, is that you key somebody's vehicle. And it could be a Democrat that hate Elon Musk just like your sorry self. But the truth is that this tells you the power of the media.
If you've lost faith in humanity, clap your hands. If you've lost faith in humanity, and this is your villain origin story, if you've lost faith in humanity, clap your hands.
They can hoodwink you and convince you of something that's not even real. I learned that when I was on the campus. We talk about vaccines. I think they got this on camera. There's a group of idiots. You can tell they got their fingers painted. They look like leftist nut jobs. A group of idiots right there. And I say, because they were talking about vaccines, and I say, how many of you guys think that RFK is unqualified? They raised their hands. I had them in the trap. I already knew all three of them would do that. Nobody else did. I say, how many of you guys think that RFK is against vaccines? He's an anti-vaxxer. All three of them raise their hand. I say, look at these idiots over here. You are brainwashed. RFK has never been against vaccines. He took the vaccines. He supports vaccines. He only wants accountability for vaccine research and for people to be held accountable when they damage you through vaccine injuries. That's all he has ever said. That's all he's ever stood for. He do believe some of these vaccines are causing issues. All he's advocating for is research it and make sure that they're helpful and they're not harmful to young people. And these nut jobs, because they saw it on CNN somewhere, he anti-vaxxer. He took the vaccines, if I'm not mistaken. Elon Musk I think he took all the vaccines. I think he got the COVID shot. Now, he do believe that he could have been vaccine injured, because that's the reason why he talked like he did. But he's not against vaccine, he never was. Where did they hear that at? Some idiot on the TV. And you see that throughout the whole the context of the conversation that I had on campus was just a few people just completely lost on it. A guy screamed at me and got weird over trans athletes in sports. He started cussing everybody out and got weird. And then I saw it when he started doing this, I saw his fingernails were painted. I'm like, bro, are you a transgender? Like, how do you argue with me that it's unfair for men to whoop the socks off of women in women's sports? And he admitted that he's a cyclist, just like I was. He said, I'm a cyclist, and this person out here in Oregon won the whole thing. I said, yeah, you noticed that they didn't get third. They didn't place on the podium. They didn't get top 25. A transgender, in the first time they've raced as a woman, won the whole thing. Don't you find that suspicious? That they never get second. Hardly ever. I don't know any of them that got second. None of them. Leah Thomas didn't get second. Did he? She. I don't know what he called himself. Did Leah Thomas get second place or first? First year, I believe. The first year, first place. Broke a record by 30 seconds or something crazy. You keep going down the line. Look at the transgender that are winning. In Washington State, the girl that won, I think, the 100-meter dash or the 200-meter, the 4x100, first time racing, first place. We just pulled up one just recently. What was that? The one we did, the long jump, the triple jump. First place, not second, not third, first place. Broke a record. Number one in the state for women in that category. Now let's do this. How many women to men do we see competing?
God, I do love the memes at the moment. People are doing some very good work. Now, let's check in with someone the Secret Service should never allow around Donald Trump, but perhaps Elon Musk. This is once hilarious comic Bill Burr, who went a little nutty during COVID and has never really recovered. Maybe long COVID is real. Watch this insane diatribe about Elon Musk, claiming he gave a shout out to Hitler. This is nuts.
Veterans the people in the armed services that died trying to stop Hitler, and then this guy comes in, and does that while being an immigrant too, which is kind of the whole thing. Just none of it tracks how you can be the support the troops, America love it or leave it, and then this guy comes in and gives a shout out to Hitler.
You know what, I'm old enough to remember just a few years ago when Bill Burr was still funny and when he was mocking those who used stupid Hitler analogies.
He is the reference. Anytime you want to say somebody's evil, you just say he is the next Hitler. Donald Trump, he's the next Hitler. It's always he's the next Hitler. He died 75 years ago? Nothing quiets a room like dropping the H-bomb.
Now to a disgusting piece of Jew hatred. This is real Jew hatred in 2025. And as we've seen in the past 18 months, there's been an explosion of these incidents, often perpetrated by the left. The people who call everyone Nazis and Hitler and fascists are the ones that have revealed a virulent strain of anti-Semitism amongst them, including these young ladies in Ireland. Watch the frightening levels of hate and ignorance here as they abuse and spit on a Jewish man.
This is my letter sign. You can take a video all you want. You're not welcome in Ireland. How do you start not welcome in Ireland?
Yes.
Israel is also, yeah. The UK Israel is also, yeah. And you're not. It's very American
I love you too. I hope. Did you just speak to me?
I did.
Okay.
And I want you to not miss.
I think it's time for a trip down memory lane and let us marvel at how Australia's international reputation as a laid-back, sane country with robust, resilient people was altered, perhaps forever altered, when our leaders lost their ever-loving minds during COVID. Never forget the lunacy that was cheered on by the media, the activists and academic class. For those watching overseas, and this segment is watched by millions of people overseas every week, the following 34 seconds features various state leaders and chief health officers starring the sunset-fearing former Victorian Premier Dan Andrews.
Playgrounds, basketball courts, skate parks and exercise equipment, despite the fact that it's outdoors, will be closed.
People can walk the dog around the street. Don't talk to your neighbours.
Browsing is not allowed.
So please, when you open your front door, just think for a moment. Do you really need to go out?
If you are at Adelaide Oval and the ball comes towards you, my advice to you is to duck and just do not touch that ball.
There's a whole bunch of people down the Ryback Beach last night who thought the best thing to do was to go and watch the sunset. I'm sure it was a beautiful sunset, but that's not in the spirit or in the letter of these rules.
You got to watch out for those dangerous sunsets. Yeah, that's where COVID strikes most, outdoors, watching sunsets. And let's not forget this gem, then WA Premier Mark McGowan, having a woman translate English into English. I still can't believe this happened.
You can die from the corona or get really sick.
Announced a tour that's coming nearest you in the very, very near future. Get your tickets now for this. It's called Three Americans.
Damn that! Now, part of the reason is because it's talking about college basketball. And I'll be damned if I know it. I've seen only but so many games. I might have watched 10 to 15 games this year. Okay? I can't watch everybody, all right? I can't. So I don't know everything. I'm guessing a lot when we fill out the brackets. I got my brackets. Y'all got your brackets. I got my brackets. I got my brackets, okay? I got my brackets filled out. But damn it, I don't know everything, okay? I'm guessing most of the time. And I ain't gonna do that to my listeners and my viewers. Instead, I'm gonna bring on somebody who knows. They ain't guessing, they know. And they're gonna help me out. They're gonna help me figure out who I should be going with these brackets as this NCAA tournament approaches. He is a college basketball analyst extraordinaire for the last several decades. He is not just elite, he's a damn institution, the best in the business, without question. He's also my colleague and buddy that works with me at ESPN, the man, the myth himself, the one and only. Jay Billis is in the house. What's going on, big time? How you doing, man? How's everything?
I'm doing all right, Stephen A. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. I got to ask you this before I even get into these brackets. Can you talk about what this season has been like for you? I'm just looking at the level of competition in this NCAA tournament. 14 teams coming from the SEC, for crying out loud. That used to be about football. Now it's about basketball. St. John's being resurrected. Rick Pitino back in the mix or whatever. How enjoyable has this college basketball season been for you?
It's been great, but I tend to think every season is great because there's always a great story or great stories. But this one has been different in that, and I think you alluded to it, like, the Southeastern Conference is the best basketball conference top to bottom relative to the field that I've ever seen. And it doesn't mean that there weren't better teams or that, teams in the 90s couldn't beat Auburn or Florida. I'm not suggesting that, but there's never been a league with this kind of depth of power relative to the rest of the country. And, I did a game with South Carolina the other day, and I was telling somebody that's the best last place team I've ever seen in any league. It's ridiculous how powerful that league is, and I think it's shown by the 14 teams that got in.
Jay, we've seen great college programs like these. I remember, growing up watching Hoya Paranoia with Ewing and Michael Jackson and Reggie Williams and the crew. I remember St. John's with Walter Berry, Chris Mullen, Mark Jackson was coming up. Willie Glass was a guard there. You saw all of this stuff. Of course, Georgia Tech, Lethal Weapon 3, LSU with Shaq, Stanley Roberts, and Chris Jackson before he became Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. You're looking at UNLV with Augment and Greg Anthony and Larry Johnson and all of these guys. When you see the teams in the SEC, is there any of them as a powerhouse that reminds you, and let me not forget Duke. How can I forget Duke with Bobby Hurley, Christian Laettner and the crew? Is there anybody in the SEC that you look at as being on that level?
Maybe as an individual team, I think Florida's legit. And with their size and athleticism, their guards. I mean, one of the things I think is really interesting, you went back to the 80s and talked about Georgetown. If you compare the guards of Florida to Georgetown's guards, these guys are bigger, stronger. Guards back then, they weren't this athletic, and they were great players, but the game's totally different now, and now it's even more physical. Like back then, and see if you agree with this, Stephen. But back then, we didn't have flagrant fouls, so when you fouled somebody, you put them into the wood, start to fight. But generally, the game's more physical now than it was back then. Getting through screens and all that stuff. I mean, it's way harder physically, but the big difference is the players now generally are younger. The best players because they're going to go to the NBA. There's too much money. And Patrick Ewing didn't go to the NBA early. There were a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons is there wasn't enough money to pull him out. I mean, it'd be almost irresponsible if he were playing today for him to stay in school for 4 years.
Let's get into these brackets right here because I'm looking at them. I want to start off with the South region where number 1 overall seed, Auburn and Michigan State, are the top 2 seeds. Any issue with that at all? Auburn has struggled. I mean, they faded losing 3 of their last 4 heading into the tournament, for crying out loud. But yet they're a number 1 seed coming out of the South. How are you feeling about that, Jay?
I think it was perfectly appropriate that they remained as the number 1 overall seed, even though they lost 3 out of 4, because it's a function of who they lost to and how and when. They lost at Texas A&M 2 days after they won the SEC championship at Rupp Arena at Kentucky. And my sense is they had a little bit of a hangover, both figuratively and perhaps literally. And then they got clipped at home by Alabama, who's really good. They got beaten overtime in like a 95-94 game on a last-second shot, and then they lost in the tournament. They're the real thing. I don't have any problem with that. And I do think Florida though is actually better. It's a close call. They could play a 7-game series, and who knows who'd win. Game 1, 2, 3, and 4, but I think if it went the whole 7, I think Florida would win it.
Who's their toughest competition in the South region, in your estimation?
Well, they're going to have to get down toward Michigan State. I would have said Iowa State, but Iowa State's injured. They got one of their top players, Keyshawn Gilbert, is out for the season. He's been out the last few games, but we thought he was going to come back. They're still dangerous, and they're still a team that could reach the second weekend and maybe maybe wind up in the Elite Eight. But without Gilbert, I'm not sure they have enough firepower offensively to get past Auburn. Because Auburn, their guards, they got a core of 4 guards that can really shoot it. You know, the 4 of them combined for 40% from 3, and they combined for 88% from the foul line. And they're athletic. They're really good. And then they got Janai Broom, who's along with Cooper Flagg of Duke, is National Player of the Year.
Sleeper in the South region. If you had to classify one, who would it be?
I would have said Iowa State. Probably Texas A&M would be that. They've got a really difficult game against Yale, and I think everybody kind of enjoys the upset talk. There's the media darling right now for upsets is UC San Diego, because they're out of the Big West. It's their first year and eligible for the tournament. They've been in Division I for 5 years now. And they're really, really good. But I'd be surprised if they got past Michigan. But they're capable. Their best player, and I can't wait to hear Charles Barkley try to say this name, Aniwa Tate Jones. And there's no way he doesn't say Awanaruna or Awina. Like, there's no way he gets that right. But they've also got another guy named Hayden Gray, who's really, really talented and one of the best defenders in the country, leads the nation in steals. They can win, but you tell me if this is wrong. Like, when the media talks about a team being an upset pick, this is our upset pick. Michigan's going to hear that, and UC San Diego's not going to sneak up on Michigan now.
Let's get to the West region. The top 2 seeds are Florida and St. John's. Florida is just a monster. They're too deep at every position. I saw them trounce Alabama over the weekend and what have you. I believe in Florida. I think they're going to win. I think they may win the national championship. I got them going up against Duke. But I don't. They're not the story to me in the West region. It's St. John's. I cannot believe the job that Rick Pitino has done with the St. John's Red Storm. They haven't been relevant for years. They haven't been in the NCAA tournament since 2019. They won the Big East Championship. I am shocked at what he has done in relatively quick fashion in Queens, New York. How did Rick Pitino pull this off, Jay Billis?
Stephen A., I hear what you're saying. I'm not surprised by this. The thing I'm shocked and surprised at is he got the shot in the first place. And, 5 years ago, if you had said to me that Rick Pitino is going to get the St. John's job, I would have said, come on, man, there's no way. He was radioactive for a period of time. But time heals, and winning cleanses. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time, and he's one of the truly great teachers of the game that I've ever seen work. And so the fact that he got really good players in there doesn't surprise me. And it doesn't surprise me that they're playing a brand of defense that rivals what he did at Louisville. Like, these guys are hard to score on. They don't shoot it great, but so what? Like, they shoot it well enough, and they got a vibe about them, and they got 3 players at key positions: Kadary Richmond at point, R.J. Lewis Jr. at the wing, and then Zuby Ejiofor, who used to be at Kansas but transferred in. He wasn't a big-time player, big-time recruit, but he didn't play a ton at Kansas. And now he's one of the 5 best big guys in the country, one of the 5 best offensive rebounders, running the floor. He's their captain. They're legit. If they weren't in the same bracket as Florida, I'd put them in the Final Four.
They're the nation's top-rated defense. 4 losses came by a combined 7 points. They haven't lost a game this year by more than 3 points. That's Rick Pitino's team at St. John's. And when we talk about a team that struggles to shoot, teams who have had success in the NCAA tournament, meaning winning a national championship or going to a Final Four, 2 of those teams who have shot this poorly and have made it to the Final Four are Rick Pitino teams in Louisville. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's unbelievable. Jay Billis, stay right there. I got bills to pay. I'll be right back with you.
Information access. They do this by limiting access to something called spectrum. the invisible airwaves that power affordable wireless internet. And by forcing you to keep their bundles, the old cable package bundle, keeping independent media out of reach. Trump and Republicans in Congress have a huge chance right now to get this right by making more spectrum available and breaking the big cable's stranglehold on your information. You got to tell your senator and your member of Congress to work with President Trump, sell more spectrum, and make sure that you can hear programs like the Ruthless Variety program.
Come on now.
No. What building do you live in?
Officers respond to a call of a fight between about 20 teens.
20 teens. All right, this is about to turn into chaos. Lead attorney here, 20-year attorney. We're about to break this down. Let's see what happens.
Some of these teens are known to have an extensive criminal history.
This ain't I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna get me.
What you doing that for?
Because it's called loitering and prowling and you're obstructing.
Come on, man. What you doing that for? I just killed my He ain't got nothing to do with that. He just got school.
What?
I'm his cousin.
All right, let's stop it right here, guys. We see this young man running up on police officers. Obviously, running at a police officer full speed when the officer's trying to make a detention is not smart. But that highlights the issue. These are minors. Legally, they're children. The issue is that there are 20 of them, and some of them are known to be dangerous. The cops are outnumbered, and they're trying to establish what the heck is going on.
I'm his cousin. I ain't do nothing. I just got over here. You can take me.
Oh my God, look at this. We've got another teen running full speed at the police officers and strikes one of them. Look at her now. She's got her fist balled up. She's got her teeth clenched, teeth gnashed. She's ready to go to war. Just look at her fists. When I see this type of behavior in teens, I always wonder, where are the parents? What are the parents like? What is their household like? Imagine raising a child to think that it's okay to run up full speed on an officer and strike him. Where is the respect for authority? Oh God. Oh no.
Back it up.
This is chaos.
That's my big sister, please. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Did y'all see that? The officer picked up that boy like he was luggage.
My big sister, bro. Please don't do nothing. Take me out these handcuffs. Get the car. Step away. Big sister. Step away. For what? I ain't doing shit. Lord, I can probably. Kill my husband. Get the out of here, bro. We got nothing to do. We just game over here.
Oh no.
Get my sister. Get my sister the up off that ground. Or every time I stick the on one of your officers. Oh God. Let me go. I ain't got no Wi-Fi, man. Let me go.
This is chaos.
Get out of here now. Where do you live at? You work here. All right, kick rocks. Where do you live at? All right, kick rocks.
Why is the officer telling people who work there to leave? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, maybe the officer feels like these people are lying, that they don't work there. We'll see.
What you want? Renter?
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'll get down. Call my mama.
Where do you live? Where do you live? Then leave. Where do you live? Get your hands out of your pants. Put your hands out of your pants. Where do you live at? Where do you live at? Huh? Where do you live at?
Why you in my face, cousin?
Oh my gosh. How do you guys feel about this? They asked this young man where he lived. He said, basically, I don't want to talk to you. And immediately they pull out the handcuffs, throw him to the ground. Now, it needs to be said that these are children. They are not 18 years old. They have not reached the age of majority. The justice system typically treats children differently. So one could ask, is it really necessary for 3 grown men to be on the back of this young boy trying to put handcuffs on him when really all he wanted to do was not answer the police officers? Now, on the other hand, you have these police officers out here, they're outnumbered, they don't know what's going on. It's a huge fight, over 20 minors out here. They don't know if any of these minors have weapons. They don't know if any of these minors have warrants. They are in an impossible situation trying to establish order. Obviously, these teens are being wholly uncooperative. They're not trying to clarify the situation. They're not trying to give the officers any information. Just look at the screen. 3 grown men on this boy who probably weighs about 130 pounds. A lot of people would say this is abuse of power, but some people would say, hey, this kid had it coming to him. He wasn't being cooperative. He was resisting the officers. What do you think?
Nobody did to y'all.
I didn't do nothing to you.
Yes, you did.
Oh.
All I did was put you in cuffs.
Bro, give me the on this ground and get me out of these cuffs and take me home. See how y'all just dropped your body down?
Calm down.
He said, take me out of these cuffs and take me home. Again, you can see the mentality of a child. Police officers are not trying to take you home.
Calm down. Calm down.
If you don't live here, leave.
Y'all got my brother. What the f***? He didn't even do nothing. Y'all just texted him.
If you don't live here, leave. If you live here, go to your home.
Come get my phone.
Calm down.
Come in and call my sister.
It's right here. She want her phone.
No.
She ain't did shit, so why she can't get her phone?
Stand back. Just ignore us, please.
Yeah, just ignore me.
We will.
You
We will.
This is terrible. The officer asked this young girl, does she want to go to jail? She says, I don't give a F. In my over 20 years of experience representing individuals, many of them have been juveniles. And I see this type of nonchalant, relaxed attitude all the time. They don't care about the cops. They don't care about the judges. They don't care about the attorneys. They don't care about the law. And let me say that you never want to write a child off. You never want to throw them away. But when you have this type of mentality regarding authority, where is your future going to be? You obviously don't care what the teachers have to say in school. When you get a job, when you graduate, what are you going to think of your supervisor? How are you going to function? It's so sad to see teenagers like this because you can almost predict where their future is going to be.
I know. Because they were just fighting, man. They tripping. Come to the gardens. They got her in the car, bro.
Step away.
Hey, I'm on the phone. Stop talking. Why you keep talking?
Boy, just wait. Just wait till my daddy get out here, boy. I'm not so. You get up behind this. Y'all
Man, shut up, man. Chill out, relax.
You do what?
Man, they just arrested him too.
Where do you live at? Where do you live at? All right, you're about to come here and talk to me. Where do you live at? Hey, good. You do have to talk to me. Watch me. Where do you live at?
I gotta ask you a question.
All right, then cool. We're going to handcuffs. Number 5. All obstruction. Ordering prowess.
Now, see, again, we have these issues. The officer says, hey, where do you live? This boy says, I don't have to answer your question. Boom, here come the handcuffs. Attorneys all the time tell you guys not to talk to cops, not to respond to these police officers. This boy does exactly that, and the cops immediately put handcuffs on him. A criminal defense attorney would look at this, though, and say, well, wait a minute now, what did he actually do? Do these officers have any reasonable suspicion that this young man was involved in illegal activity? He was just standing there watching the fight. They come up to him, where do you live? I don't have to answer your questions. Now he's got his hands behind his back. And again, guys, legally, this is a child. This video went viral, and you can see why. There were so many people on different sides of the issue. You had people saying that this is absolutely abuse of authority. This is police misconduct. But then you also had tons of people saying, no, this is what our communities need. They need law enforcement. They need law to be imposed. You can't have 20 teens out in a parking lot fighting each other and think that's okay. Where do you stand on this?
I can do this all day long.
Yeah, last time you talked to me, you said you were going to kill us all.
I didn't say that.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. These officers know this young boy, and the officer said, hey, the last time we contacted you, didn't you say you were going to kill us all? So again, we flip back to the issue of parenting in the home. Imagine raising a child who's out here threatening police officers with death. You're an absolutely terrible parent. Or, and this is the case a lot of times, you might be a good parent, but you are in a terrible terrible neighborhood. Your child is in a terrible environment. If this is the case, no matter how great a parent you are, so many times your children are going to succumb to the streets, and there's no way to stop it other than moving. Now, if you live in one of these areas, that probably means you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of resources, but you need to find a way, because that is the only thing that's going to save your child. You need to remove him from the environment. There is nothing beneficial for your child to live in these areas where they are surrounded by these influences. You never want to give up on a child, but when a teen is threatening officers with death, you already see where this child's life is headed.
You just put me in handcuffs because I don't want to answer your question.
That's called obstruction.
That's not.
And right now, loading and prowling and obstruction.
Do you know the rule about?
Do I know the rule? Yeah.
Shout out to this kid. He says, hey, you put me in handcuffs because I didn't want to answer your question. The cop says, yeah, that's called obstruction. No, that is not obstruction. You don't have to talk to these cops. Imagine if an officer just came up to you and started asking you questions. You say, I don't want to talk to you, and now you're being arrested for obstruction. This is ridiculous. If that were the case, all police officers could force you to talk under threat of arrest. That's simply not the law in this country. But again, these officers are in a chaotic environment. Some of these teens have threatened the officers with death, so they're on edge. The whole situation is out of control.
I know the rule. I know the rule.
You just put me in handcuffs.
So, absolutely, it's not a rule.
Let me know.
I'm not sure where you got that rule from, but that's not a rule.
I don't have to answer your question.
You're right. You don't have to answer my question. You can go in handcuffs.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Let's keep going. But this officer, he needs additional training. It cannot be the case that an officer comes up to you and says, hey, what's your name? You say, I don't answer questions. And then he turns you around and put handcuffs on you for obstruction. That's just not the way things work in this country.
Now it's called loading and prowling and obstruction. Have a seat. We need more cars.
That's my phone. They have your phone. Do you live out here?
Yes.
Okay, what apartment do you live in?
No, I don't live
I live here. What apartment? I live down the street.
I live here, but I don't live here.
How you going to come see me?
Uh-oh, got Big Mama out here.
This is the way this works. If you do not live on this premises, then you are loitering and prowling, which means you are required to identify yourself to me. If you do live here, and I ask you your name and where you live, and you can't provide it, now you're required to quell my suspicions that you're not loading and prowling, which is why you're in handcuffs in the back of my car. Now, what's your name? Cameron. I don't want you to be in handcuffs, but I want to take you to jail. I would much rather call your mom, come pick you up.
All right, let's stop it right here, guys. And now you're seeing a softer side of law enforcement, and this is a good thing. This officer is saying, hey, man, I don't want to take you to jail. Just tell me who you are. I'll call your mom. And this is what we need, understanding, again, that these are children. But on the other hand, why are these children threatening to kill these police officers? It's a thin line when you're out here in these streets.
Hey, yo, hold up. Chill out. First of all, we're going to start this whole thing over.
How y'all doing?
Good.
I'm her mother. Why is my daughter in handcuffs?
Your daughter is in handcuffs because she was fighting and then thought it was a good idea for her to try to swing on the police. So as of right now, your daughter is about to go to the juvenile detention center. You can ask them questions.
Okay, also, where's my son?
Who's your son?
He in the cartoon.
He in the
They tried to tackle. No, this is what happened. She was not fighting. They was jumping a boy, and then Rashad had jumped in, and I guess they tried to arrest him too. So that's when.
We're going to stop all this.
Okay, so the lady in the bonnet is the parent of the initial girl who was fighting the cops and the young boy. Now, it's very easy for us to look at these children and say, hey, just throw away the key. But again, they're minors, so we have to look at the parents as well. If this lady in a bonnet was your mother, what type of household would you be raised in?
So this is the way this works.
That's your daughter? That's my daughter, and that's my son.
Your daughter is under arrest. She hit 2 officers.
What did the officers do to my baby?
They tried
to... This is the parenting that I'm talking about. Just look at her face. This lady finds out that her daughter struck 2 officers, and immediately the first thing she says is, what did these officers do to my baby? My child's an angel. I know my child. I raised my child. There's no way that my child would have attacked officers. But what was captured on the body cam footage? Her daughter attacking officers. There are kids who grew up in environments like this and they succeed, but it's so hard for them to find that success if they don't have the proper structure inside the home.
They tried to tackle Rashad. and that's when she jumped over
Hey,
him.
all right. Do we have a Rashad in custody?
Her brother.
So he's the first one to charge that day. But there's no charges on him? No charges. All right, so, ma'am, excuse me. So right now, your son, Rashad, I believe he's one of the ones we had to clean his belly. He's not being charged with anything, okay? Apparently there was a large fight out here. We don't know why yet. As this large fight broke out, officers arrived on scene here and they tried to gain control. Your son, Rashad, charged one of the officers. Didn't get hit, didn't hit anybody or anything like that, so he was detained. When that happened, I guess his sister came up, and that's when she struck 2 officers. That's why she is now detained and being placed under arrest. Okay?
So out of this whole fight, my daughter the only person going to jail?
As of right now, yeah.
Mom! I want to speak to my mother. Mom!
Jesus.
What you keep hollering for me for? You don't think I can hear you? Do you not understand that I'm already pissed off? Because you told me that you was staying after school. So how the hell your ass end up pissed off? He called me and said, I don't give a when nobody called you insane. And you supposed to be your ass at my house.
So Rashad, the young boy, lied to the mom about where he was going to be. And the mom obviously is upset about it. But look how the mom is cursing this young boy out. How is this boy